this week's Fireside Chat with Jesse. I am joined today by Dave Schlauderaff, President of Merchants Bank Equipment Finance. Thanks for joining me, Dave.
Hey, thanks for having me, Jesse. I appreciate it.
No, it's glad to have you on here, man. I'm glad I got your name right on the first time, so we didn't have to go through that process again. But
Yeah, there you go. Schlauderaff's a tough one, but you got it.
For those people who have been on these, they understand what I'm saying. But Dave, for people who have not had the privilege of meeting you yet, do you mind just kind of introducing yourself and your career to date in equipment finance?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm Dave Schlauderaff, and currently I'm the president of Merchants Bank Equipment Finance, based here in Minneapolis. I joined Merchants in December of 2021, so I'm still the newbie here at the organization. But my career is roughly 25 years in the equipment finance space. Cut my teeth back in the day in the Lion Financial team, the Marshall Group that was ultimately purchased by U.S. Bank in 2000. Started that career in the medical vendor arena, calling on medical manufacturers, and then migrated my way through U.S. Bank for almost 24 years. In all different lines. I've probably financed every piece of equipment you can think of, and called on about any channel. So small ticket app only, all the way up to large corporate and commercial financing. So that's me in a nutshell.
Perfect. And like, how did you stumble across lines back in the day?
Yeah, kind of a funny story. A college roommate of mine actually worked at the time with the broker division out of Lion Financial Manifest Funding, and I wanted to get into medical sales. And at the time, I was working for an HMO here in Minneapolis, and my old roommate said, "Hey, they're starting a medical leasing company." So I went to lunch with the head of that division, Kim Montgomery, and the rest is history. I didn't know what a lease was, and now 25 years later, here I am. So kind of just stumbled across it.
Perfect. And who would have thought that Swans would have a medical equipment?
Exactly. For years,
Like,
my grandma thought I drove a Schwann's truck. So you just kind of got to roll with it. But yeah, it's a pretty incredible story, and quite frankly, a really really strong network of folks in the industry, as you know, that have ties back to that. So it's a fun story to tell.
sure. I mean, I would say that Minneapolis or Twin Cities is a mecca of equipment finance. And when you trace the roots, pretty much the majority of them go back to Marshall, Minnesota.
Yep, that's right.
And it's also this the Swans thing where it's like, what else is in this? What else is in this truck besides these twice baked potatoes? Like, there has to be more stuff.
It's awesome.
All right. Do you mind introducing Merchants Bank Equipment Finance, Dave?
Yeah, I'd love to. Merchants Bank Equipment Finance has been around for just over 30 years. And I think we could probably be best described as a small ticket player in the marketplace. But we're owned by Merchants Bank, which is a bank that's approximately 2.6 billion in assets, and really does support the equipment finance channel. So for us, probably 85 to 90% of our business comes through vendor and dealer partners that we have across the country, and then some very specialty referral partners that we have in niche industries. So our average ticket size is about $180,000. We originate just north of 100 to $110 million in new business volume every year. A little plug to my team. We're well above that this year, which is exciting, and especially in a pretty crazy market.
Sure.
But we've really got some niche markets that we support, and we're definitely part of that, what I'll call a small regional bank structure.
And are you, where's your headquarters in Minnesota?
Yeah, so we're located in Edina, Minnesota, probably about a 10-minute drive from the Minneapolis airport. And our corporate bank headquarters are down in Winona, Minnesota, which is a short 2-hour drive just southeast of Minneapolis. So there are 16 people on our team here at Merchants Bank Equipment Finance. And yeah, we've got a nice location here in Edina.
And do you have any remote employees, or is the entire division there in Minnesota?
Yeah, we do. We actually have 2 individuals that are in our Winona office, another in our Cannon Falls, Minnesota branch.
Okay.
Then the bulk of our team is here in Edina, and then we've got our sales team, 3 folks that are they work remotely, but they're here in the office quite regularly. So we've got kind of a mix of people that are here full time, and then a little bit of remote as well.
Perfect. And I want to go back to something you mentioned in your introduction. So you've done basically small ticket all the way up to large ticket.
Yeah.
If you had to go back and do it again, what would you specialize in? What's like your favorite?
That's a really good question. For me, I really enjoyed in my most recent role at U.S. Bank was covering our Western region, and it was the large corporate and commercial opportunities. So that really opened my eyes to kind of the greater equipment finance space. But I don't know if it's a piece of equipment. It's probably a channel.
Okay.
I was tapped at U.S. Bank to go after our community bank market, and that was a market that we just didn't really have a lot of penetration in. And so we partnered with our community bank partners across the footprint. A lot of it was education in terms of understanding how many clients actually financed equipment. I always used to say bankers don't know what they don't know. And a lot of them had no idea that 80% of all businesses financed equipment. So let's go out and start driving some revenue.
Sure.
But that for me it was really a grassroots effort. I mean, I joked with a lot of people. That was a time in my life where it was kind of like on the Tommy Boy tour. We got in a car and drove to all these cities a lot of folks don't think of, across the
Sure.
country: Wenatchee, Yakima, Idaho Falls, Duluth. But those markets have so many great opportunities in terms of really strong businesses that a lot of folks don't spend their time getting to know and getting to understand. So for me, it was really, that community bank model of having a full relationship really kind of took the transactional piece out of it. We were really trying to align to say, not only do we want to finance what you're looking to purchase today, but every equipment purchase that you have on a go forward. And that was really a fun time to truly see that how value comes into play in a industry that's really can be commodity based in terms of what's your rate. So it wasn't necessarily a piece of equipment. I've got a lot of stories about crazy site visits at clients.
All
But
I can think of right now is chicken wings.
there you go. Oh,
That's
that's funny.
fantastic. That's great. But no, I mean, I definitely understand that whole getting on the road scenario, and that's one of the things I enjoy about like this industry here. Is you go to I have a trip coming up in December to like the Philadelphia area, and it's
Sure.
literally you can hit 5 companies in like a day and a half
Yeah, no
that
question.
go.
But it's a
But they
relationship business, right? So I mean, you got to get out there. I mean, in some of the markets we went to, I mean, there were folks who said nobody from equipment finance has ever been here or hasn't been here for a decade. And at the end of the day, if you're going to build a relationship, I'm a firm believer on looking someone right eye to eye and being out in the market, and more importantly, being with them when they're talking to clients, because that really is the fun part. The client who takes all the risk and this is their business and they're buying a piece of equipment that not only provides jobs in their market, but drives revenue. So that's really a cool thing.
No, and I greatly appreciate and respect what you just said. It's a relationship. It's a handshake. I mean, communication tools like Teams and Zoom,
Yeah.
I would say from a sales perspective, maybe they made it instead of like a 5 call close, maybe you can do a 1 or a 3. But if
Yep.
you're not investing the time being in front of people, breaking bread, um, that's where you're going to forge those long-term relationships. So that's refreshing, Dave.
Well, for sure. And, the other piece of that too, when I think about my role here today at Merchants Bank, I never went through bank training. So for me, I learned more about the bank just talking to market presidents and bankers and to better understand what the day in the life was for them. And then I realized that when I left that market, the next week, the credit card folks, the mortgage team, every other product partner would be there. So you really had to differentiate yourself a bit. And a lot of it was simple. It was simply understanding, how you can provide value. And to the point where we'd almost beg back in the day, hey, can we come to your sales meeting? We want to tell you about equipment finance. To the point where they would invite us in because they knew that we were a different product partner or we were a preferred product partner because we were giving them tools to win business. and strengthen the relationship that they had. So
Sure.
we tried to have a little fun with it too. Back to the chicken wings. I mean, we joked about all the different places we went and all the different restaurants and all of that, but you do learn a lot. And I think you get the respect not only of your partners, but the clients as well on, who's going to take the time to actually come out here and meet us. So.
Sure, sure. And I guess while we're on that topic, so going from US Bank for 24 years to moving to a more regional or community bank, like how's that transition been? Because I'm sure there's at times where you were at US Bank where someone did that for me, and now it's like, well, who's doing that? Congratulations,
Yeah,
Dave, you're doing that for yourself.
exactly. Well, first and foremost, US Bank was a tremendous employer. I met so many people that helped me along the way in my career. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for those people who made me
Sure.
look good in a lot of instances, but also were willing to kind of jump in and work with me. And so to join Merchants Bank, it was a big deal. I'm almost 25 years. You don't make that change. And there was a unique opportunity where Rick Barry, who was the prior president here, was retiring, and an opportunity to come run a division. And so I took that leap. But yeah, it is. There's a lot of things that I appreciate about what I learned along the way in my career, and now as a smaller team, and I say small in a way more just on scale. We're not small because we're not as good, and quite frankly, we've got all the products and services that anybody else offers out there. There's just maybe a little bit of uniqueness in terms of how we position that. So, yeah, when it comes to lead generation and software programs and things of that nature, it was a change. But quite frankly, the culture that's here at Merchants Bank from the top down to our team, we work hard together and we win together. And everybody plays a role because with that smaller team, if you miss the mark somewhere, clients know right away. So again, it's the culture is amazing. I'm really embracing it. I had a former boss that said, "Dave, you grew up in community banking, you belong in community banking," and now it's kind of come full circle where everything that I was able to leverage and learn along the way, I get to put in play here every day, not just from a sales perspective, but relationship building, and now kind of understanding how all the business works as well too. So
No, that's fantastic, and I'm sure refreshing nonetheless. I mean, so is it almost been a year?
yeah, just shy, just over 10 months. So
So, I mean, if you could go back, I guess, 10, 11 months from now, what would you tell your past self in regards to what you're embarking on?
yeah, I think the first thing I would say is patience. What is it? Rome wasn't built in a day.
Yeah,
The good news is the team that's here. I can't speak enough to how talented they are. We've got a mix of folks that have been here 15 to 20 plus years, and a nice mix of what I'll call younger talent and folks that are still cutting their teeth in the industry, and that really works well together as we try to position ourselves for long-term relevance, not only with our bank but in the marketplace. But I think it would be patience. I
yeah,
came in pretty eager and wanting to learn as much as I can, and I tell folks sometimes it feels like it's been 4 years, not just 10 months. I
sure.
say that in a good way because everybody's been so welcoming, but I would just say, maybe a little bit of patience, understand it a little bit. And quite frankly, I went back to what I've been successful in, and that's really relationship building. So it was not only getting to know my team, getting to kind of jumping in and getting them to understand how I work, and how engaged I want to be, and more
Sure.
importantly, how we can win together. Because that's really one of the most rewarding parts of this when we have a big month or we close a really big deal or bring on a new opportunity. We really do win together, and that's really been one of the funnest parts of joining this organization for me.
Perfect. And sorry to put you on the spot there. I just was more,
No, it's a really good question. I mean, a lot of I have to remind myself like I'm still the new guy here, so it's okay to ask questions
well, and especially I'm sure the tenure in the organization is pretty long as well. I mean,
for sure.
typically, and especially in Minnesota, typically it's a long tenure.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and even,
so,
I'll pat my sales team on the back too. There's some folks on that team. There's three of them who've worked for bigger banks before. and have built relationships with vendors and clients for years and years, and to see them embrace the culture. You talk about at US Bank, who would do this for me, or where I'd have that resource. I mean, it's a different animal where we wear a lot of hats.
Sure.
But again, it's one of those when you've got a team that's supporting you and knowing that you're out there working, trying to bring in new opportunities, they're going to go the extra mile for you too. So it's been a great transition, and again, I couldn't be prouder of what our team is doing.
Excellent. Excellent. So I'm going to change course a little bit, if you don't mind, and talk about kind of trade associations, Dave, and what they've meant to to your career. So I mean, we were just with each other a couple weeks ago
Yeah.
in Phoenix at the ELFA annual. I don't think it's cooled down a little bit, but it's still warmer than it should be here.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be saying that to someone in Minnesota, but anyhow.
Yeah. It's all good. I love the heat. And actually, it's going to be 55 degrees this weekend. So we can still golf up here. It might be too chilly for you, but it's not too bad yet. So
55 is nice. That's still quasi shorts weather. Quasi.
oh,
Quasi.
totally. With the sweatshirt, you're good.
But overall, going to these conferences or being a part of these, I guess trade organizations, what has that meant to you, Dave, in your career?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and something when you think about what would I've told myself 10 months ago. The trade associations mean a lot. The ELFA, I'm learning more and more how powerful of an organization that is. Even back to just a couple weeks ago, what I've really enjoyed is just the camaraderie, and the ability to connect with people in the industry. Early in my career, I went to a lot of industry trade shows, which were also another great place to network. You learn so much about the equipment and who the players are. But one regret I have is that I did not leverage the association as much as I should have in my early days. I've prided myself on building a good network. I mean, I think most everybody will say, if you surround yourself with good people, you don't need to know
Sure.
everything.
Sure.
You could sit there and spend the weekend reading tax law, and if you wanted in the leasing world, but I'd prefer to do other things. But at any rate, it's the people and it's your network. And I talk a lot about personal brand, and your brand, not just what you do professionally, but even personally. And part of your brand is building that network. And getting back to my story with connecting with bankers and partners, there's a lot of people along the way that taught me a lot that I didn't even know, or there are parts of the industry that I'd even realize existed there. So, but especially in my new role representing merchants at these conferences and even the funding conference in Chicago, you kind of realize all the people that you worked with along the way, how they've helped you and how they can help you today. So, you're not sharing obviously confidential information, but you're
Sure.
sharing information about how do you approach this, or what do you do here, or help me out, I've got no idea. So if I could give any advice to someone that's just starting out in the industry, or maybe at halftime of your career, reach out and use the ELFA. It's more than just a show to go to or a conference here and there. There's a lot of good industry opportunities for education that I wish I would have, taken advantage of earlier in my career. So, but it's very important. And again, it's really it's a fun time to go meet folks that you've met with before, but more importantly, talk about what's happening in the industry, especially in today's world, which is a little crazy right now in terms of all that's going on and all the volatility.
Sure, sure. And you nail on the head. Be careful. Hopefully, no one from ELFA is watching this because you just got voluntold to be on a committee or
Yeah.
something, or
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, it's part of it. I was lucky enough to be picked to be on the business council for small ticket going forward here
Okay,
too. So,
okay. Congratulations. I
yeah.
wasn't sure if you were on one of those or not, but I'm like, no, you probably
Yeah, it's all good. But again, it's a great organization, and again,
sure.
there's so many things. I mean, just perusing their websites, and even making those connections. There's folks who've leveraged the trades and they can share how that's helped them and really how it's helped them develop their teams and give people exposure to parts of the industry that they just may not have known that even existed. So,
Well, and you brought up a good point there, your personal brand. And I found that to be, I got in the industry in 2005, and that was kind of one of the, I guess, reasons I enjoy this place so much. I guess this space is just you build your personal brand, you have your reputation, that brand follows you where you go.
for sure.
You
Yes.
do the right thing, you do a good job, you make sure whatever you're selling, whatever widget that is, works. And your reputation goes everywhere you go. When in this industry, it's small
Yeah.
but mighty, right? I mean, it's $1.8 trillion, so a little big but small.
Well, and you just never know when you'll need that, right? Even for me, being in the industry for 25 years, there's a lot I know, but there's a lot of times where, I'll tell my team when someone calls or a client has an objection or they ask you a question, you don't need to put all the pressure on yourself to have that answer just like that.
Yeah,
9 times out of 10, I pause and say, geez, who can I call? Or
sure,
who
sure,
might I lean on to give me some information? There's just so much. I mean, even in your space, in terms of the software and processing and things of that nature, you've been a valuable resource for us as a smaller organization to make sure we're aware of even what's out there. So that's again that network. It's that brand when you can pick up the phone and call someone versus, oh geez, it's Jesse again. I don't want to deal with him. I've always told that to my sales teams along the way, and I got into sales management a little bit earlier in my career. But I'm like, you need people on your bandwagon. When you
yeah,
reach out or you've got a transaction, you want people to jump on it, to help in the underwriting, to help in the documentation, to help after the fact with customer service. It's a lot harder. There's certainly a path to doing things with an individualistic view, but it's a whole
sure.
lot easier and a lot more fun when you've got people there willing to jump on and help and get that transaction over the finish line or help create a client success.
Nope, spot on, and that's a perfect example of how we were introduced to one another. An individual, we've been talking for a while. There just wasn't a good business fit, but he's like, "Hey, but you might be able to help this person,"
For
and
sure.
that's it happens a lot in this industry. And it's a takeaway of people watching this. It's just do whatever you can. If you don't have the answer, you don't
For
need to
sure.
always have the answer. You can say it.
Exactly. Well, I'll even say that. I mean, with this opportunity, the last 10, 12 years of my career at US Bank, I mean, I was really a product partner. I was calling into our bank market. So I didn't have a whole lot of, vendor relationships that I had. I didn't think I had that network of folks that I could really share as an asset to my team at Merchants. And quickly, I learned, how big my network was in terms of people who
Sure.
reached out, people who I'd worked with years ago, people who were interested in trying to partner. So again, I think everybody should probably take pause, maybe once or twice a year to think about their network and to think about the connections that they have,
Sure.
because it's a really good exercise. Because even for me, I almost thought I didn't have a really good network, and it's been really fun to leverage all those folks that I've worked with before, and some that you know, like we've met here just recently. So it's an ongoing process and one that I think is critical to success in this marketplace.
Nope, nope, spot on. And you touched on something in regards to, the kind of, I don't want to go into this because we could probably take like hours and discuss the state of the equipment finance industry. At a high level, Dave, what do you kind of see going on right now and thoughts on kind of 2024?
Yeah, well, when you think about the industry, I mean, it's crazy right now. um,
Yeah,
it's unpredictable. It's frustrating, um, but it's also full of opportunity.
sure.
On a real big picture, I feel like there's still going to be some more consolidation in the marketplace. But I also feel like this is an opportunity similar to some of the other, cycles that we've been through. I've been here long enough to have some down cycles and readjustment of pricing. But I think it's good for all organizations, and specifically for us at Merchants, to really make sure that we understand what we're good at, and how we can build off that. But there's a lot of turbulence out there, and I think it's a great opportunity to try to decide what you want to do next. And I know for us, we've always stayed in our lane. We know what we're good at, and I think there's times where people think, oh, I can go try to grab this piece of the market, or I'm going to try this, and you get out a little over your skis, and then you realize I don't really know the market. So there's nothing wrong with being consistent. And quite
Sure.
frankly, the feedback that we get from our clients is, you're never the lowest price, you're never the highest price, but we always know what we're getting. And I think that stability and that consistent messaging that we provide, and we say what we mean and we mean what we say, really is going to hold true, especially in a market like this where there's volatility all over the place. So.
Nope, spot on. And those strong relationships that you forged and continue to reinforce, will help, through these times.
No question, no question. So yeah, it's pretty volatile, but again, I think tremendous opportunity, and not just for us too, for us here at Merchants, but for a lot of companies. Just
Sure.
kind of recalibrate and decide, hey, is this the path we want to go, or how are we going to continue to grow and expand? So that clients will always drive it, right? I mean, regardless of price, this is an industry that I love because everybody's looking to drive revenue. They need
Sure.
equipment to do that. Technology is always changing, and we don't even know what the next thing is. So,
Sure. Sure. Well, I ask everyone who comes on this program to give me a little fun fact about themselves. So, what makes Dave tick outside of equipment finance?
yeah, the easy answer for me is probably my family. I've
Okay.
got I've got three kids, two that are getting to the end of high school, and one still in junior high, and we've got activities all over the place. And I mean, I feel like I've been in Uber service for a decade, and was just thrilled when my two oldest got their license. But I really enjoy family and activities. Here in Minnesota, with our 3 weeks of summer, we like to head north and enjoy the sun and the lakes. And typically in the summer on the weekends, you'll find me on a jet ski pulling someone on a tube and cruising around the lake. So it's really family and getting out there and enjoying the outdoors.
So, get any colleges picked out yet?
My oldest has some applications out. She's been accepted to a couple places.
Okay.
Probably going to get out of the Minnesota area, but Creighton University in Omaha is at the top of the list, and
Okay.
great city and a great institution. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, not too far of a. It's a drive,
Yeah,
flight. It's in between, right?
exactly. Far enough,
No,
but also close too. So
I can definitely relate to the Uber service. I mean, I have a 5-year-old and a 14-year-old who plays baseball year round,
oh
and
yeah.
I told him last night, I'm like, I think I've been in the car for 3 hours today, and he's like, "What's the problem with that?" I'm like, "You realize that I work for myself, right? That means I need to work probably to 11 tonight. Like,
Oh yeah,
come on, just go do your
yeah,
chores, take out the trash without giving me feedback."
yeah. And then the discussions will be on car insurance. I mean, my driveway is a used car lot right now, so it's
Uh, one
every
more,
stage is
one. I
fun.
think one more year I have. I think it's 15 and a half in Arizona before they get their learner's permit.
Okay,
And he's
there you
just
go.
like, I grew up in upstate New York on a farm. So I was driving when I was like 8, right? As soon as my foot hit the pedal, like he's like, when are you going to take me out on a ride? I'm like, when you can drive this golf cart around our
Yeah,
neighborhood effectively,
yep,
that's step one.
for sure. Oh, that's awesome.
So I guess in closing here, Dave, why should a vendor or equipment, someone looking for equipment, choose Merchants Bank Equipment Finance?
Yeah, great question, and I love answering that question. First off, it starts with our people and our culture. We're big enough to matter, but we're small enough to care. And at the end of the day, it's our consistency. It's our ability to respond to clients and be flexible. That's another piece of what I'll call our culture here and being part of a smaller institution. We can get up and walk across the hall and have a discussion with credit or documentation and get things done in a manner that feels very reasonable. So for anyone that has the opportunity to work with us, you're going to get consistency. We're a very, very stable organization in terms of our backing from a bank perspective, in terms of our deposit franchise and all that we can offer in the banking world. But it's really our people. And so for me, I love telling the story about Merchants Bank. I love bragging up our team because not only is it the truth, but it's a real easy discussion to have, especially with all the compliments that we get from our clients and our customers. So we'd love to have you.
Excellent. Well, I really appreciate your time today, Dave. I'm sure our paths will cross. I think I'm going to be up there in February for NIFA ice fishing. So we got to make sure as soon as that date comes out, we got to block that off and have you go to that one.
Yeah. Otherwise, I'd recommend June, July, maybe August.
Yeah. No. I find myself going to like Buffalo in January. It's like, what? I moved from New York to Arizona for a reason, but yet I find myself making questionable decisions this time of year.
Come in the summer, we'll get you on the jet ski. That'll be better.
Jet ski, tube, jet ski. Awesome. Well, I appreciate your time today, sir. And, look forward to, continuing our conversations and then watching how you continue to grow Merchants Bank Equipment Finance.
No, I appreciate that, Jesse. Thank you for the opportunity today. And you keep doing what you're doing too. This is a great platform to talk about all the great things in equipment finance. So appreciate you.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Take care.
You bet. Bye-bye.
Bye.